So in this episode of BizJet TV, we're going to be talking about the 5 reasons it's better for you to own your own private jet than charter or get a fractional ownership share in a jet. Now, if it's the first time for you on BizJet TV, welcome to the channel. Lots of information here on private aviation. Also, I'm the author of The Quantum Economy, which is my latest book that's just come out. You click on the link below to get yourself a copy. Why do you need a copy of this book if you're thinking about buying a private jet? Lots of information in here about the economy of the future, the quantum economy, and how you can start moving quantumly by using your private jet in your business. And these 5 reasons will kind of play into that as well. I'm an airline transport pilot, thousands of hours. I've flown for 5 different airlines around the world, and I've also flown lots of different private jets and flown owners around the world, charter, air ambulance, flown for corporate flight departments as well. And so I bring this experience with me here on BizJet TV to share and educate the market and hopefully educate you on this whole thing about private jets. So let's get into the 5 reasons. But before we get into the 5 reasons, subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell, and now let's get straight into it. But stay to the end because the 5th reason is probably the most powerful one out of the 5. So reason number 1, if you buy your own private jet, you're going to control the aeroplane. What does that mean? You can decide if it's going to be in a hangar. You can decide, lots of things about it. The maintenance, the crew, lots of things. You control it. You decide when to go. So if suddenly you wake up in the morning and you get a message from a customer and you say, I really need to go and see this guy today, the plane's available because it's in the hangar. Well, you pick up the phone to ring your local charter company, and guess what? They haven't got a plane available today. Or the plane's available this afternoon, not this morning. Or you ring up the fractional ownership thing and, and they'll fly a plane in when they can. It may take 24 hours, and every time the plane turns up, it's a different plane with a different crew. So you really, control the aircraft when you're... Just interrupting the video very briefly because here on BizJet TV, we're giving out lots of free general information about private jets and the private jet world. But if you are really contemplating buying a private jet, let's help you to make that decision in the best informed way by getting very specific to your case. And to do that, just ping me an email and we will schedule you in for a one-to-one call and help come up with the right strategy so that you, your team, your family can start joining that quantum economy. So ping me an email, let's get on a call. Let's get back to the video, off we go. Number 2 is you can customize it. Now, some people like to put their logo on the tail of their aeroplane. They like to color it a certain color. They like to do fancy stuff with the interior. And then, of course, you've got, all the plates, the cups. You can put your logo on. The cushions inside the airplane can have your logo on it. There's all sorts of things that you can do in customizing the airplane, and that proves to people it's your plane. It's got your name on it. I mean, Grant Cardone sticks his name on the airplane. It says Cardone Capital, Grant Cardone on the tail of the airplane. Now, that's not what everybody wants to do, but, a certain level of customization, which could be just the interior, not necessarily the exterior, is something that you can do when you own your own plane. Now, number 3 is that, and this is an interesting one, did you know that people that are working on a private jet are actually 30% more productive than when in the office? And I just chartered a plane to a client of mine a few weeks ago, and he went on a 2-day trip, and he took his team with him, and he said, my team really got a lot done on the jet. They got more done on the jet than they usually do in the office. So he just experienced that, taking your team up to 45,000 feet, they're a lot more productive than flying Delta or United or British Airways. So that's an interesting one. So remember, your team's going to be 30% more productive by having meetings and doing work up in the air on the private jet than they are on the ground. But, if you send your team out to fly commercial, we'd all get to the airport 3 hours before the flight in security and then the flight's delayed or whatever. I mean, do you think your team's going to be productive on the airplane once they get on the plane? Assuming it's been on time and everything and that, and they got people sitting next to them that they don't know, etc., etc. So you can't really have a proper conversation about work because you never know who's listening. So, that proves why, the 30% increase in performance. Number 4 is, and this is an important one, I've been talking about this lately, you control the pilots. Now, the reason why it's important for you to control the pilots is, first of all, you hire them, or they're recommended to you, and when I help people buy an airplane, I always say to them, I'm going to also throw in with my fee. I'm going to find the pilots for you. And the way I do it is through my network. You know, I've been flying for many years. I've trained pilots from all over the world and flown with people from all over the world. So my network of pilots is really extensive. And having flown with 65 different nationalities and many different pilots, thousands of hours of flying, you know, I know what a good pilot looks like. And I always look for the man or the woman first, the character of the person over the experience. I mean, yes, hours do count at a certain point, but you want to see how these hours were done, what companies they flew for, how they did their flying, their training, all that kind of thing, and their personality. All these, you know, are they fit? Do they look after themselves? This is really, really important, because we've seen over the last 3-4 years a lot of pilot incapacitation cases where the pilots are suddenly sick at the controls and they can't fly, or they pass out, or they die, and then now one pilot is flying on his own. And we've also seen a lot of pilots, you know, end up sick, fail their medicals, and this is a trend which is going on at the moment, which is playing into the pilot shortage, is these pilots suddenly dying or having heart attacks or losing their medical for some reason. And so you want to hire somebody that's healthy. And if you charter a plane, there's no guarantees that that pilot up front is looking after themselves health-wise. Yes, they passed their medical, they wouldn't be flying, but that's not necessarily an indication that they're healthy. So you want someone that works out regularly, someone that watches their diet, you know, maybe take supplements. You know, you want someone that really does look after themselves. And this is really, really important. And if you own your own aircraft, you can hire guys that are older than 65 years old. And, you know, you say, oh, I don't want an old guy 70. But, you know, some people that I know that 70-year-olds are a lot fitter and healthier than guys at 40 that I know. So, controlling the pilot is important. And also the other thing is, right now there's a lot of pilots leaving the private jet world to go to the airlines. Some airlines are offering $100,000 joining bonuses. Now, why is going to the airlines attractive? I mean, I flew private jets initially, and then I went to the airlines because I wanted to fly the bigger aeroplanes. I wanted to be part of an airline. Also, the training system within the airlines is better. One of the airlines I worked for had a stable roster pattern, 5 on, 4 off. So you could basically plan, you knew what you were doing in 4 months' time on a certain day. And if you wanted that day off, you just requested that day off. And if the airline could accommodate that, they would. So this is one of the other advantages of flying for the airlines from a lifestyle perspective, because you can plan. A lot of the times private jet operations, it's like you're on call 24/7, and I've flown for private jet operations before where you're on call 24/7, which is if you're young and single like I was back in the day, then fine, who cares? I mean, every time the phone rang I went flying. That's all I wanted to do. So that was my priority. I needed to clock up my hours to be able to get an airline job, and I did. And I was fortunate to join the airlines with 800 hours total time, and flew the Dornier 328 and the 328 jet. And then when I hit the 2,000 hour mark, I left and went to fly 737s. So, I planned my career carefully in order to have a strong foundation. So what can you do then if pilots are flocking to the airlines? Well, offer them good money, offer them a good package, offer them days off, and offer them, a lifestyle. This is the important thing. So, which may mean hiring an extra pilot just to give a bit more balance. And so if you've got 3 pilots instead of 2, then they can manage between the 3 of them who's going to have a day off and who isn't. So you always have 2 pilots available. This is important. So you want to pay them more money than the airlines, give them some incentives, and that, a good package, health insurance, all that kind of good stuff. These are all things which will help to attract good pilots and keep them, and not have the airlines poach them as they are right now. And this is a problem when you charter an airplane right now. The charter companies are the ones that are suffering the most, because the charter companies are not paying their pilots very much. I mean, a captain with a charter company will make maybe $150,000, while flying for a private corporation, they're making $350,000 to $400,000 in some cases, at least $250,000. So that's something that you need to consider when you're going to be buying an airplane. Don't go cheap on the pilots, and also don't go cheap on their training as well. Just interrupting the video very briefly, because here on BizJet TV we're giving out lots of free general information about private jets and the private jet world. But if you are really contemplating buying a private jet, let's help you to make that decision in the best informed way by getting very specific to your case. And to do that, just ping me an email and we will schedule you in for a one-to-one call and help come up with the right strategy so that you, your team, your family can start joining that quantum economy. So ping me an email, let's get on a call. Let's get back to the video, off we go. So let's get to the last thing. This is really an interesting one, and there's 2 elements to this one. Now, when you're flying on the private jet, what you can do is, as Chris Crone shared when I interviewed him lately, he said, I always try and take some people with me on the jet. So it's about who can you take with you on the jet. Now, it could be members of your team. In the case of Chris Crone, he has courses that he sells and that, and if people spend more than $25,000, they get to ride on his jet with him. And he said, and this is the opportunity for him to meet interesting people and generate new business ideas, and new business opportunities come about as a result of that. Now, that's not something that everybody's kettle of fish. I don't really want some stranger that's bought one of my programs to fly on my jet with me, and that that may work for you, may not work for you. But where it does work for most people is sending the jet out to pick someone up to come and see you. So let's say you're sitting in Dallas, because that's where your office is, your headquarters are, and you've got to go see somebody in Chicago, and you think, I don't really want to go and see a person in Chicago because I got this meeting and that. Well, you can have your meetings in the morning in Dallas while your jet goes out to Chicago to pick this guy up, and you can say to him, look, if you want to bring your wife and kids or your assistants or some people from the office, you can bring them with you. You got a flight attendant on board to serve them some really good food, the wine that they like, or the chocolates that his wife particularly likes. Do a bit of research on that, and so they have a really good experience flying from Chicago to Dallas to see you. You can have your meetings in the morning, meet with this guy for a couple of hours in the afternoon, and then your jet will fly them back later on. And that's something that really, really does have an impact on people, is using your and then they get on the jet, they serve coffee, and the cups have got your name on it, maybe your name's on the tail of the aircraft. All this kind of thing does really, really work wonders for a business, because you're using it as a business tool. So when you're buying the jet and you own the jet, you can do all these things, which gives a lot more power to the airplane. I mean, I have so many people contact me and say, okay, when I'm not using the jet, I want to charter it out. And they think that that's where they're going to make the money. Let's say they make $1 million a year through the charters, and the airplane's costing them $4 million to operate. Okay, yes, you've recouped 25%, which is good. But where you're going to make the big money is using it as a business tool, or getting on the plane yourself, going to meetings, or, as I said, sending it out to pick people up to come and see you, and doing a deal that way, which may be next to you $100 million, which would have never happened if you hadn't had the private jet. That's how the jet is going to make you money. So these are the 5 reasons. I hope you enjoyed this. So click on the link below to get a copy of my book, The Quantum Economy. You can also subscribe to my newsletter, the link below. Also, follow BizJet TV on TikTok and Instagram. Yes, we are now on Instagram and TikTok, posting daily on these 2 platforms, as well as posting some short videos here on YouTube. And also, we're appearing also on LinkedIn and Facebook from time to time as well. So BizJet TV is sort of branching out onto other platforms besides this one here, and we're also, of course, on Rumble. So you'll be seeing us more. So remember to subscribe to us on Instagram and also TikTok, as well as subscribing here on YouTube, which will be a great one. And as I said, get yourself a copy of The Quantum Economy. Subscribe to the channel, comment below. We like to get the conversation going. We like to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this video, you will enjoy this next one. I encourage you to go and see an interview I did with a Honda jet owner who's actually crashed his aeroplane and survived. Everybody survived. He tells a story, so that's an interesting one. He also talks about how he uses the airplane for business. And also check out this playlist of owners that I've been interviewing lately about why they bought the jet that they bought and how they use it to build their business. So I hope you enjoyed all this. And that's all from Fabrizio on BizJet TV, and I'll see you on the next one.